Oh man, I'm getting so many goosebumps. It makes me emotional too because honestly, I didn't find them, they found me.
Oh, I
And I
love
talk about attraction, when I really step into being unapologetic of who I am, I started, yeah, just was guided to meet these people. Um,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, beautiful?
I am doing so well. Thank you so much. This was long overdue.
I'm so happy to see your face again. And I
Yes.
love your lipsticks, always so on point.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a similar color. Yours is not quite as glittery, but it's a similar shade. I feel like if I didn't have my glitter on, it would be close to yours.
It's a little pink, yeah, but I like it.
Awesome. Okay, Jesse. So many awesome things happening for you right now. Like so many really great things. First of all, the badass Asian women. I mean, like that is super awesome. I
Thank
mean, I
you.
actually just shared a post here recently about, just having to find myself and learning how to really be Asian in America without getting lost in wanting to just be white and be full on American and not really embrace my Asian culture. So we'll dig into that. But first of all, I would love for you to just like share in your words what you do and how you empower others because the first time that I met you, you were just so incredible when you shared your
I remember.
I don't know how you say it or what the procedure was or the process was, but you told us to close our eyes and then you gave each hand
Hmm. A
at the
word.
yes, a
Yeah.
word. Okay. So it just we let it out and it naturally lifted or lowered like based on just where we were and how we felt. And that was I just thought that was super cool. So energetics, obviously, but really clearing your space and all of that. So if you can share for me and for everyone listening what kind of work you do, how it has helped you to become the woman you are, and then how it's really inspired and empowered others to become the best versions of themselves.
Oh, isn't that a loaded question?
So loaded, but I know you got this.
Well, I am a wealth empowerment coach, and I'm also an intuitive. In other words, I'm a psychic, and I've been learning the energetics of words and our actions, our mindset, and how that affects our daily lives. So a lot of us often, talk about what the external will, how that affect us on the inside, but actually what's on the inside is what's going to be portrayed on the outside. So I help people to understand how to shift their mindset, how to overcome those trauma so that they can eliminate some of those negative energy, therefore raise their vibration. So when you talk about, the hand movement, you can literally feel the energetic of that particular word. And I think the word that I used for you guys that day was love and hate. And I had you guys close your eyes and you didn't know what to expect. And naturally, when you open your eyes, you saw the word hate just literally sink down and the word love raised up. So that's the energetics that we're talking about. People say, it's too subtle. There's no way I could believe these things. But it is there. So there's a way for you to tell the evidence of vibration of words. And that's the same thing with our emotions as well. So I work with my clients with their lower vibrational energy and emotions, and then we clear that off. And then once we raise them, they start attracting the things they want, whether that's wealth, a career, family, love life, you name it. So it really, what you feel on the inside really reflects on the outside.
I love that. And I actually I mean, it connects in so many ways, not just the way that you feel, right? The words that you use and everything that you surround yourself with, the things that you think in your mind without even consciously being aware of it. So it encapsulates all of that. How did you get into this work? What really pulled you towards this direction? Because as another Asian, this is not a field that
Mhm.
that my
Uh,
culture or my parents or my family would be like, "Hey, Jesse, that's a great idea. You're into energetic work."
I'm glad you mentioned that. It's so true. Because until today, my parents don't really understand what I do and they think that I just lost my mind. When I had my spiritual awakening in 2002, I lost both my grandmother and my best friend about the same time. And I'm never the woo person. I was really scientific. I was just ready to be in the rat race, go and get a corporate job and get married. And when they passed, they went to the other side. I didn't even know what the other side was about. I don't know how do you even what is life after death? I had no idea. So it was when they passed, I started getting messages. I started having profound dreams about them. And they send messages to me and things that I personally don't know. And when I would share it with my best friend's mother, and then only I was able to connect the dots that, oh my God, she was talking to me in my dreams.
Yeah.
So I then started to explore what that was. And I found I have the ability to be a medium. And in 2010 is when I started to actually, went to a psychic fair. I had a mentor at that time. She's like, you just go and do it. You don't need me to teach you. You just need to practice. So
Yeah.
I put a booth out in psychic fair. I wasn't charging anything. I just try it out. And before you know it, within a year, I had my own office doing it full time, doing psychic readings and mediumship readings.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's
so
awesome. You went full in. And I think that's another Asian quality, right? When you find what you're meant to do or what you are determined to do, you go all in and you go down that path. And so within a year you had your office.
I didn't have a choice because I was trying out. I had been trained to be a graphic designer and I was doing that, but I keep getting injuries. I had wrist injuries, I had back injuries from working. And I took that as a sign that the
Your
universe
body's
is
telling you.
saying, yeah, your body is saying you're not on the right path. So I just, that's why it took me this long before I try doing the readings. But the moment I did, I just started feeling so alive and I got healthier and things got better.
Oh my gosh. That's I love that everything transformed for you and things started clearing up. How did your family take it when you decided to share with them that this is what is happening for me? I'm hearing these opportunities, these messages. I'm getting this information from our loved ones who are no longer with us. And this is the path that I want to go down. I want to learn more about this. And then ultimately, I want this to be how I connect with others. Like, what was the initial reaction, if you can recall?
Honestly, when I wanted to step into doing spiritual work, just before I decided that I wanted to, I was diagnosed with severe depression and I just literally could not get out of bed. It was like I felt like I wasn't there anymore. My soul was ready to leave. And my parents were there and they saw the severity of it. I was also admitted to the hospital. And my parents at that time was telling my husband that they wanted to go. They didn't want to see any of this. They just want to leave. And just talking about this right now makes me emotional, but that just tells me that they weren't willing to look at the other side of me that wasn't conformed to the expectations or what they wanted me to be. And so right after that, when they left, I started healing myself and I started to discover the healing of angelic energy, and I start connecting with my angels and getting guidance from them, like what to eat, what to do, how to change my mindset. And within 6 months, I was really able to wean off my antidepressant. And that's when I started telling my parents again, like, I'm talking to the angels. They're like, what the hell? What's going on now? Like from going to the hospital and then now you're talking to angels. So that definitely give them the idea that I'm just a crazy lunatic that deserves to be confined in a small in a room and you shouldn't go outside. It's such a shameful thing to uh just showing you. So my dad is okay with it, but my mom really feels like this is a really shameful thing to talk about. So when I had opportunities to talk, like being on the podcast like that, she just goes, "Oh, not again," like just cringy moment. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many times when I decided that I wanted to go forward and achieve my ambitious goals, doing this work. Um, I get a lot of no's from them. So, unfortunately, today we don't no longer have any relationship. And I really feel like it takes me a long time to understand my voice, my goals, my aspirations really matter. And because I've been trying to conform with their ideals of me as being a daughter, I really forgot about myself. And for a long time, I suppressed that talent of mine, that gift of mine, and it just didn't feel right. It felt really unfair for me to keep that as a secret. And so the moment I start sharing is when I start seeing people being inspired, motivated. They're onto their path, they're succeeding, and they're doing the work that they're supposed to do. And that drives me. That makes my heart sing when I see, people like yourself, if it bringing all this positivity to your own network. That's what I'm all about. So at the end of the day, you can call me cray cray, but hey, a lot of women are empowered by this.
You know what it makes me think of is the message that you shared that when you got shut down or when you were misunderstood, when you were really truly being yourself, you were in the wrong place with the wrong people at the wrong time. You've really found yourself. You found your people, your voice, and your light. And in comparison to the Jessie that I initially met, you've blossomed in so many ways. And I love to see you out there. I love seeing you share your work. I also know the struggles of the other side of it, so I feel for you in what you're separating yourself from in order to achieve the you that you desire. And it's not easy. You have to decide what works for you, how much you can tolerate of the people in your sphere, your family, your circle who want to suppress parts of you, not intentionally, but they don't think that they are. But the things that they say are things that you take in internally and making you feel like you need to hide. So, you finding your people, you finding your avenue and the way to share your voice, and just being so bright and sharing it in such a beautiful way has been really inspiring for me. What seems really, like you said, cray cray, what seems really crazy, if you give it a chance, it might unlock something within you that you never knew existed or that you didn't allow to be let out. The general public, if you start talking about like mediums or angelic readings or connecting with your angels and numbers or numerology, all of those things, it's a different world, it's a different community. When did you realize you found your people, right? Like, I can be Jesse, I can fully be me, and it's okay that I'm disconnecting myself from other people in my life so that I can really elevate myself.
Oh man, I'm getting so many goosebumps. It makes me emotional too because honestly, I didn't find them, they found me.
Oh, I
And I
love
talk about attraction, when I really step into being unapologetic of who I am, I started, yeah, just was guided to meet these people. One example is as of late, a friend of mine invited me to join this CrossFit gym that it's an outdoors gym. And the instructor and the owner of that business is this big 6 foot guy with muscles and just looking pretty badass, okay, to be honest. And he's Asian. And then the moment I start talking to him, I just could feel this spiritual energy coming through. I could just feel like he's got this, just a person who's really zen. And then my friend said, he's very spiritual. He goes to India and he meditates and, he also communicates with the other side. And I went, okay, I'm signed up for
My
this. I want
person,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
my
my
group of people. So I think the moment you start to be unapologetic and just know that who you are really matters, people just start taking you very seriously. And the one that doesn't, okay, doesn't matter, and they take up less space in my life, and that's okay too. And I respect that. And I have few friends that are very religious and they respect me too for who I am. So I appreciate that. So yeah, to answer your question, I didn't find them. They
same
found
to
me.
you. I just love the way that things happen naturally, and like you said, how you attract it, because just in life in general, it has a lot to do with attracting the right thing versus chasing, right?
Yeah.
And really trying and grasping, at whatever you can to get the thing that you want. Own it, fully embrace it, and be that person, embody that person that you are meant to be, and things will just naturally come. This brings me to a conversation or what I want to talk about next, which is I know you have a child as well. So raising your child up in America and in an Asian dynamic, I imagine is very different than the way that you were raised.
Mm.
So how do you have conversations with your child about embracing who he is and allowing himself to be unapologetic? What does that mean to you? How do you translate that to your child? And I ask because I have a daughter and
Yeah.
I want her to feel empowered and able to tackle the world and do whatever she wants versus these very structured and stable careers that we
Yeah.
might have crafted for her, right? So, how do you start those conversations? How do you encourage him and empower him to be unapologetically himself?
Oh, that's a great question. He grew up in Malaysia. Actually, he was born in Malaysia until he was 3 years old before he moved here. So and maybe he may not remember it, but he had a little bit of that Asian culture in him.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I'm still doing a lot of the work of breaking that generational expectations and trauma. And luckily for me, I think he inherited a lot of my behaviors, my creativity, and the way he thinks. So it's easy for me to spot, to see, ooh, that's me when I was 8, or that's what I do when I was 5. And I remember those time when my parents would kind of, discourage it and not want to let me explore and not want to let me to play. So I recognize those things, and I think it's so important as parents that we continue to uh, be very aware of what we say and all those narratives that goes on the inside, then so that we can stop those things that our parents did to us, because that is so easy to just do what our parents told us to do. So for me, I knew that if I was going to raise him the way my parents did, it's going to be disastrous.
Well,
He's going to spend his entire adulthood just going for therapy like I did. So I knew that for him is to just continue to let him embrace that he's what he's already got, and then refine those that aren't as pretty.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I think, and I embrace the Asian culture for being humble, practice humility. We talk about doing hard work, and sometimes hard work is uncomfortable. And sometimes we need to really look at the real things that happen in life. And so I already start some of those hard conversations with him, and of course, at his level, to just really give him an idea that, hey, there is danger out there, or there is things that people can do to you, but not to scare you, but just to inform you that it does exist. And what can we do to protect ourselves? And I also talked to him about business. So if you decide not to go to college, you can do all these things online these days. So I help him to look at things differently. It's not just about you need to do this to be successful. You need to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. No, this is about anything you like to do. And there's so many ways to make money out of it. And we also talk about, money, how we can save, invest. I already started an investment account for him and I teach him, what that looks like, what's that gonna look like when you're 25 years old? What can you use that money for? So we started a lot of this conversation already when he was about 7 or 8 years old. And it's and so a lot of my friends would say, he just sounds so mature.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think we underestimate what kids can do and what they can understand. So it's okay to see what you want to cultivate in that child, the things that you didn't have. I think that's important to put that
Yeah.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. And because I have been around so many awesome people who help me to share and understand that life is really limitless and it's what we want to embrace that we can achieve, because a lot of creatives, we tend to, and entrepreneurs, we have a thousand different ideas, right? How do
Mhm.
we find the journey that we should focus on, that we can really be clear on and go down that path, and not feel like we're all over the place?
I always say just do the thing that feels stupid easy to you. That comes really stupid easy. That is your zone of genius. And if you can do that effortlessly, and it's something that you would do without getting paid, and you're happy to do it.
I hope you're enjoying this conversation with Jesse and I, talking about how you can fully embrace your light and share your message with others. If you are enjoying it, please take just a moment to hit the subscribe button and share a review if you're enjoying it. But I'd love for you to be notified every time a new episode comes out, to really help you to step into who you were meant to be and live the life that you fully desire. If we're not already connected on social media, you know how to find me, at the Connections Queen. And then make sure you're a part of my Facebook community called Creating Connections, where you can connect with other podcast hosts and guests. And if you're an aspiring podcaster, I help you with all of the tools to make things super simple, and elevate your presence. If you're already doing podcasting, let's make it even simpler so you can really just be there, show up, record, share your skill set, and then everything else is taken care of. All right. Thanks so much. Let's get back to the conversation.
And that is your journey. That is your path.
Okay, but so then an Asian, another Asian would be like, but why? Why would you do something that doesn't make you any money? You need to have a stable job. You need to be able to provide for your family. You have to have your 401k, right? And all of those things. And a full-time
Mhm.
job is reliable. If you follow your passion and you follow your heart and it doesn't produce money.
So if you have a full-time job and you want to explore the other side of your passion, I say do that concurrently if you having the full-time job and start exploring it that on, whether that's from 7 to 9 p.m. at night, And that's how I kind of got started. Everything just have to start part-time before you can jump into it full-time. But before you know that this is going to bring you in the money, you also need to try it out first. It's really like trying out a new pair of jeans. How does that feel when you wear it? How would you move? Can you sit comfortably? And if not, what would you do? So I advise what I like people to find out is I think a lot of us being Asian, we shame ourselves when things are easy. We say, what? It shouldn't be this easy.
Yeah.
Life shouldn't be this easy. But every one of us have a talent, a special gift from the universe that comes out so effortless. And then when you do it, it touches other people. Like what you're doing now, asking this really fabulous question. It comes out from you. I can't even think about that. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's people need to try that out and see let their community reflect back to them and say, "Oh my God, you do this really, really well. I want to see more of that." So that's how I tried out at first. And you do need to get some validations to give you that kind of confidence to move forward. But if you don't try, you're never gonna know.
I love that. That's the quote of the day is if you don't try, you're never gonna know. And if you don't try, you're never gonna get any better. Right.
No.
And we get lost in that trap of looking at other people who are just at the top of their game, doing the best, they had a starting point. They didn't
Mhm.
automatically jump to where they are. And that's something I will reiterate over and over and over again. You have to start somewhere. I mean, honestly, my last podcast guest, the conversation didn't flow as well as today. I had to go and look back and see what did I do wrong? How could I improve? How can my next conversation be better? Right. And so I really appreciate that you think I'm asking great questions because I love
Oh
that.
my God.
Thank you. I want to be able to pull that out of you, but also I didn't go into this with the intention of it being like an Asian conversation. I do think that what we experience is a very common thing. It's not
Mhm.
just Asian parents. I do feel like it with a lot of parents, even like I have a lot of Nigerian friends who
Mhm.
experience the same thing,
Yep.
or Indian or Hispanic, like, and African American, like, they when you care about your child, you feel like you want to set them up for success. So this is the path. I've lived it. I know it. This is where you're going to go because I want to see you successful. So do
Yep.
what I say, right? Like that's the previous generation. That's what they're used to. And like you said, we're working on creating a new narrative and breaking those generational barriers that were previously set, the expectations that were met. So as I go into this, how did the book come about? How did you get invited to it? What was that conversation like? Because I actually purchased my Kindle version because I know that I could have the book and it looked great on my bookcase, but I'll never open because it's just not realistic. Like having three kids taking everything with me is just too much. But I have the Kindle version. And if one day you guys have an Audible version, I'm all over that. I love listening. It's
Yeah.
like the podcasting, but I will dig into it more. But I want to know, because I've heard really, really great things, and there are really incredible women behind it.
Mhm.
First of all, I imagine it's going to be beyond just for Asian women. Can you share more about how that came to life?
Of course, of course. I just wanted to say real quick about our kids' situation, how we learn from how they learn from us. And I take this mantra really seriously. I think kids do not do what we say, they do what we do. So once you do those work, we exemplify that for them. It makes parenting a lot easier because that's just who you are and they just adapt to that or adopt your,
Yeah. I have to
life
stop
mantra.
myself. I have to stop myself a lot to whenever I start saying, this is what you do. And you know what? Actually, we got to a point where I would say something, this is what you should be doing. And my daughter would be like, well, you do that same thing. And I have to take ownership. I have to
Yeah.
take ownership and say, you know what? You're right. I do that. But I am very honest in that I'm working on that.
Mhm.
I'm not perfect. I expect this of you. I also expect it of me, but I know that it's something that need to be better at. I'm not there yet,
Yeah.
but I want
Yeah.
you to be better too. So that's why we're having this conversation. It's not a comparison game, but I mean, I think
Yeah.
you like at each level embracing the newness of them reaching
Mhm.
a level of asking certain questions and bringing things up and throwing things back at our face. Like, have you taken a look at yourself? And it's a really poignant thing because I wouldn't be able to say that to my parents. I would
No.
never, and I
Mm.
wouldn't, like, in terms of respect, but I don't consider that disrespectful when she brings that to me, my daughter,
Mm.
because I want her to be able to voice her opinions. But there is a level of balance in
Mm.
where they can do it well and still represent the best versions of themselves. I think that's the beauty of us embracing ourselves is it
Mhm.
allows for them to be themselves. But not just
Yes.
our children, it's everyone around us, right? The more that Jessie shines, the more that you are you, the more I get to be me. Then that brings us back to the really awesome people who are part of this book. So how did that journey go?
Yes. Oh, so interesting. So I had just went no contact with my parents early 2022. And I sort of use social media, especially on Instagram stories, as my creative outlet, if you may want to put it,
Yeah,
or
yep.
just like my outlet where I talk about my feelings a lot. I talk about how I work through some days that aren't so great.
Yeah.
And I have quite a few people that had followed me through this journey, um and they are like my supporters, if you may put it that way. They validate me and they tell me, no, this is fine. No, this is not good. Or, and I get so much strength and love and support from them. And that what makes me keep going and keep healing myself. So interestingly, then one day, a mutual friend of ours, with the she knew the publisher and she knew me, and she's like, I need to connect you both. She's like, she has a project that's coming up and I'd like to talk to you. So we connect, and it was me and Kaki, who's the publisher.
Yeah.
And it was just like a few months into what was happening. So I was in a lot of stress, right? I'm just a mess. And we were moving at the same time. And it's I just was like, no, I can't do this thing. This is too much for me. I don't even know what to write about. So I kind of shelve it. And I went to get a part-time job. I just, let go of my business for a little bit and try to find myself and heal. And within 6 months, I come back and I said, you know what? This sounds like a good idea. Let's revisit this. And at the same time, Kaki saw my stories and she's going, girl, you need to tell your story because there's a lot there to unpack. And it was the same time when I realized, oh my gosh, I have a lot of stories that really matter. And I think that is going to change, or at least give a lot of people the voice that they need to tell their stories. So we talk, I agreed to the book, and then that's when we started working on it. So yeah, it was a year and a half of talking about the book and and the concept of it. But when we all got into writing and with the other authors, that happened really quickly. We spent about a month, editing, going back and forth with the editor. The editor is a white woman, and she's going, Jessie, I can relate with everything you said, even though we come from different places, different culture, there is a thread of similarity with all the women around the world, and I think those especially that were underprivileged and have gone through a lot of financial hardship will be able to relate with a lot of the stories in the book.
I think the main common thread is not it goes beyond being Asian, of course. I
Mhm.
also feel like it's beyond being a woman. I do think it's a very human thing. A
Yeah.
lot of our vulnerabilities, the things that we experience that are hardest for us, that we feel most alone in, are the things that so many other people feel but are afraid to share
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
don't think they have the right place to do it. They don't have the right voice to share it with or the right avenue. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now and um wanting to put it out there, but also empower others to share their stories is because the more we can shed a light on the loneliness or the hurt or the pain or the suffering, the less it'll happen. The more we'll be connected to each other, and the less that these huge tragedies that happen, especially in America, will happen. I think
Mm.
there's a big disconnect in me and the next person.
Yep.
And I want to close that gap. And
Yeah.
that's why I want to hold hands and embrace you and embrace
Oh,
the people listening and be able to share your story. Because when you said too that you went and got a part-time job, you were feeling really stressful, this really great opportunity that previous to this really stressed out Jessie would probably jump at and be like, "Oh my goodness, this is
yeah.
amazing." You put it to the side and got a job because it was then the easy thing to do, and I imagine you lost sight of who you were and your light, and so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
yeah, so you didn't have the right avenue, you didn't have the right inspiration. So I'm glad that you shared that because we all hit that point where we're like, I'm just gonna do the easy thing. I'm gonna do, what
Mhm.
everyone tells me to do because pursuing my creativity, pursuing entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not at all easy, but what balances it out is the passion behind it. We feel that
Mhm.
calling and innately it's like, this is what
Mhm.
I'm meant to do. I know this is the right thing for me. The path might be really treacherous at times, but then but then we get to those peaks and the connections with the right people, and all of a sudden the light goes off and we shine
Mm.
a little brighter, and it's just so beautiful. And when our message hits that right person, when we've been doing it for days and days and there's no response, but one person is like, Jessie, like, that was I mean, I really resonated with that, right? Like, or maybe I
Mhm.
sat in my room for days because I just didn't know what to do. I felt so alone, and I happened to turn on my phone, and there's your story being really honest and vulnerable, and I felt heard.
Yeah.
It's those things that connects us. It's those things that make us more human instead of hiding them and just sharing all the beautiful, awesome things that we're doing, the traveling, the luxury experiences, all of the thousands of dollars we're making every month or millions or whatever it is, the hundreds of people that joined our workshop. No, it's the days that people don't show up. It's the days that it's
Yeah.
you can barely show up for yourself, that
Yeah.
people feel connected to you. It's awesome that you made, $2 million this month. That's but but I know I can't do that overnight and I don't expect to, but I can definitely connect with your story immediately. I
Mm.
can connect with the way that you feel, the emotions that you're sharing, the vulnerable parts of you. And I think that's the beauty in you doing what you do and you embracing the entire process and you testing and trying out everything that you've been trying, Jesse, because I've seen the iterations. I've been there and you may not know it. You may not see that I'm there because I don't comment all the time. And most of us
Right.
don't, right? Like we will
Mhm.
scroll past, just like when we receive a text message. A lot of times I'll get a text message from my family or something. I'll look at my partner and be like, ha ha ha, and then I forget to even respond. And then they're like, hey, why did you ignore me? I'm like, oh, I did it. But yeah, and you know what I mean. Like you start
Yes.
that conversation, or you think stuff to yourself, but you don't actually engage. But it's there. It's made
Mm.
that impact and it matters. So I appreciate you for what you do. I appreciate the
Mm.
content that you're sharing. I also will definitely be sharing the links to your community, to your free resources, to the awesome things that you're doing today. But what is it that you want to share the most? Is it the book? Is it the group, like being a part of your group, or is it just the resources that you have? What would you give to a person who might be struggling to find their voice or who just wants to take it to the next level and unlock their money mindset? What should they do?
My message is often to the feelers out there who call themselves empath and highly sensitive and feeling the shame and guilt of being one. And I am here to tell you that we can all rise together, and your gift is needed in this world. I am the feeler, I am the highly sensitive person. So anything you might see in my realm, whether that's the money mindset, whether that's being intuitive, whether that's the book, I encourage you to come in and shop around and see which one, relate you can resonate with and pick those topic and take off, with you. And a lot of us feel very, very deeply and we go, oh, I'm just too sensitive, or I'm overreacting, and we continue to judge ourselves that way, and I've been that person. I just feel like it's just so harmful to our mental health and also to our body. And our body doesn't know what's the difference. You can tell it good things or bad things. So why do we continue to harm ourselves that way? And I've gone through the whole journey of my own health situation and been in and out of the hospital when I was going through those stressful moments. And I noticed that a lot of it was my own just unable to let go of those resentment and those anger, and continue to absorb all the negative narratives that people have said about me and thinking that that is me. That is, thinking that was true. But I had to do all that hard work to really uncover and see that is all just lies, just a bunch of lies. So if you are the empath and the highly sensitive person I'm talking about, I want you to know that you got to honor who you are. You are who you are. You can't tell a bird not to fly.
Yeah.
And you just have to spread your wings and fly if that's what you are meant to do. So I would encourage you to come in and see what I have to offer and see if anything sticks out to you, because I just want to empower you to use your gift, because a lot of us in this world really need some of us feelers to tell them how we feel. And the book, actually, my story was inspired by how I felt. Um, I will say that the chapter I wrote was pretty provocative, um, because the title is called "I Will Not Be My Mother." And I have walked around a lot with people who says, my mother is my inspiration. My mother is my strength. My mother is my role model. And while I respect that, but that also give us, some of us who didn't have a good relationship with our mothers, and I felt judged, I felt shame, and I can't talk about those things. And it felt like we have to burden this secret. And in Asian culture, we're supposed to respect our elders. We're supposed to not be discreet about all the ugly things, right? We have to be obedient and be sweet and silent, and be all those things and put our needs last. And I am just done with being trapped in the corner and just trying to be nice. And it's not that I want to do this to hurt my own mother, but I want to give a voice to all of us who didn't have a chance to speak up about the secret that they have to carry. So that's why I told my story the way it did. And again, it's not there to attack my parents or anything. It's just my experience and how as an empath, how that was very traumatic for me. And today I still do the work. I'm not completely I think when we've been through trauma, that we always going to be living with that. It's just like people living with anxiety and depression. It's there, it's an underlying theme, but we wake up every day choosing, today I'm gonna have a good day. Today I'm gonna speak to in this podcast. Today I'm gonna speak to my Facebook group. And we continue to choose that. And it's extra work compared to people who's never had that kind of trauma. So I want people to know that they're not alone, and that they can rise above all the traumatic time, and it's okay, and you don't need to be shamed and judge. I embrace you as who you are, and you just got to use your gift because it's meant to be shared with the world.
Oh my gosh, what a wonderful way to close the episode. I mean, I got some goosebumps. I got in my feelings and I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like, I am a part of communities where people, I mean, women love their moms and men too, who just like are so
Mhm.
inspired by their moms. That is their main supporter. That is the person who gives them light and lifts them up and got them to where they are. And there are some aspects that I can relate to in that. My mom busted her ass to get us to where we are, to give us this
Mhm.
really easy life. But there were aspects too that were just really, really hurtful and traumatic that we can't talk about, we
Mhm.
can't work on. I can only work on it through myself. I
Mhm.
can share my message. I can communicate with others who are going through the same thing. But again, it's not because I don't love my mom. It's not because I
Right.
haven't gotten anything out of our relationship. I still see her very regularly. In fact, I'm going to go see her here in a little bit. But bringing up and seeing that there are relationships that really thrived, that makes you feel ashamed or embarrassed or feel like you might not have been good enough, um,
Mhm.
or what was wrong with me that my mom didn't empower me, that she couldn't encourage me to do the things that I love to do, lift me up, right? Share those resources with me. Like that in itself could be an entire other conversation, but
Yeah.
just overall, the way that you are, who you are, showing up as you are is what we want to see. That's who we want to connect with. And rewriting the narratives for yourself and not carrying over what previous generations have laid upon
Mm.
you and creating new stories for yourself and for your children and your children's children. I mean, it starts here, it starts in the home, it starts with these
Mm.
conversations, and it's just changing the words that we use, the feelings that we feel, and allowing ourselves to move past the hard and do it anyway so that we can see a better tomorrow, a better now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, oh my gosh, this was so delightful. I really, truly
Aw.
appreciate you. And, I
Likewise.
thank you. My hope is that next year or just a few months down the road, I want to continue conversations with the people who have been on the podcast just to see their journey and seeing how
Yeah.
light has spread and how their message has really resonated and been amplified. So besides for that though, we're in the same communities. I want to see more of you. And for those who want to see more of Jesse, I'll have all of the links below. Um, we also invite you to join my community creating connections for other people who want to have Jesse on their podcast, who want to share and spread more of Jesse's message. You can connect with her in lots of different ways, but also in my community is really great too. But
You're
thank you,
doing a
Jesse.
fabulous job on your Facebook group. I love
Oh,
it.
thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate it. Again, it's just more people like you doing what you do really well. That's like, yes, I can do this too. So
I
so let's keep that energy going and those high spirits up. I love you so much. I treasure
Oh,
you and I just there are deeper conversations that I really want to have outside of this. But maybe here too in the future, when we're ready for it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am
thank you.
here to support you however I can. You guys, I will have the link available to order the book, to connect with Jesse. Thank you so much again for joining this conversation. I hope you found some golden nuggets that you can take with you to implement in becoming a more badass and super awesome version of yourself. If we're not already connected on social media, let's do it at Connections Queen. You know how to find me, and I'd love to see you in my Facebook or LinkedIn Creating Connections community to help you to connect with other really awesome and inspiring podcast hosts and guests. So you can be podcast ghosts. And also, if you are an aspiring podcaster, reach out because I'm going to be creating some really awesome offers to get your podcast out so you can share your voice and really truly amplify your message and share your calling. I look forward to seeing you again in the next episode.